The Oklahoma City Thunder see one of the most aggressive games from Usman Jang in this one. What is the plan for Usman Jang moving forward? What has Tre Mann proved at Salt Lake City Summer League? And which undrafted player has the juice? All coming up on today's Locked On Thunder podcast.
You are Locked On Thunder, your daily Oklahoma City Thunder podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Let's get it going on the Locked On Thunder podcast, on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am your host, media member, and editor-in-chief over at thunderousintentions.com, Rylan Stiles. You can follow me on Twitter at Rylan_Stiles. Follow me on Threads also at Rylan_Stiles. On today's show, we are diving into the Oklahoma City Thunder dominating the 76ers for most of the game. How do the Sixers come back? We'll discuss that as well. Ousmane Dieng looks way more proactive in this one. Tre Mann continues to dominate Summer League. Caleb McConnell has the juice, plus Jared Butler is checking the boxes. And was there a revenge game in order in this one? We'll discuss everything from Game 3 of the Salt Lake Summer League today. Thank you so much for making us your first listen. Every single day, we're here for you, talking Thunder basketball. Subscribe for free across all podcasting platforms. I want to thank the everydayers who listen every single day, and a lot to get into today and beyond as the team moves on to Vegas for Summer League. So the game overview today, there was no Jalen Williams of either variety. There was no Chet Holmgren, no Jeremiah Robinson-Earl, and no Keyontae Johnson. However, Holly Rowe did say that she talked to Keyontae Johnson. He's getting close to return. The Thunder's next game is on Saturday against Dallas, so maybe he'll return in Vegas. So that left the Thunder starting Tre Mann, Jared Butler, Hunter Maldonado, Ousmane Dieng, and KJ Williams. But the big story from this game was not the win, of course. It's Summer League. It was Usman Jang looking way more proactive, way more aggressive. In this game, Usman Jang stuck his nose in it. He had some great cuts offensively and was engaged in the half-court offense. He wasn't just standing around. He wasn't just sitting in the corner. He was looking for opportunities to impact the game offensively. And so, whenever you look at Usman Jang and what he is as a player, he has the length and the size to be a really high-end defender in this league. And he's shown flashes of that, both in Summer League, in the G League, and also in the NBA against the likes of Steph Curry. In this game, the most encouraging part was that he was more proactive than reactive. Usually, Usman Jang is kind of timid, kind of hesitant, standing around out there, floating around out there. There's all these words you can use to describe what Usman Jang typically looks like, but not tonight. Tonight, he had multiple putbacks on the offensive end. He nailed the transition three at the end of the half. He finished well around the basket on these cuts with the reverse layups and everything else. And perhaps the most impressive bucket of his 22 points was this no hesitation, catch and shoot, contested three with 14 seconds left on the shot clock on the wing. That is a look that typically Usman Jang would hesitate or pass out of or not be ready or just not take. But in this game, he was able to find his stride and play extremely well on the offensive end. And that's what you're looking for out of Usman Jang. He did have some bad turnovers late, especially one where he was trying to drive into the teeth of the defense and make something happen, which I like. But I wish instead of, stopping the drive and trying to kick out, I wish he would have just went up for the layup because he's so long and he's so powerful that if he would have just gone up for the layup, sure, he might have missed it, but there's also a good chance that the refs call a foul there. So instead of trying to pass out of it where you're almost 100% sure that you're going to have a turnover out of it, trying to score in that opportunity gives you a multitude of things that can happen. You can actually somehow power your way to the rim and actually score. That's one thing that can happen. But you can also get fouled. You can also, at least delay the inevitable of like if you throw it off the glass, maybe you give your offense time to get back there and get a rebound. But he scored 22 points in this one, 10 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals, a block. He had 9 turnovers, 5 fouls, shot 83% from the floor and 2 for 3 from 3. Now look, the 5 fouls, you get 10 in summer league, and I really liked seeing him be aggressive on both ends. He was probably the most active player on the floor tonight on both ends of it, which is a rarity for Usman Jang, and honestly, a never for Usman Jang. So despite the foul trouble, which you get 10 of in summer league, so it wasn't even real foul trouble, but despite that, I'd rather him be aggressive and use the stage to his advantage, right? You're not going to play games where you get 10 fouls anywhere else. So you might as well use this time to see what you can get away with, how you can be aggressive, how you can impact the game. The 9 turnovers, it's a tiny bit misleading. Yes, the turnovers were a problem and have been a problem all summer league for OKC. The entire Salt Lake City period, turnovers for the team has been a problem. But in this game specifically, when the game got close late, when the Sixers made their run, they were blitzing ball handlers and no one on the team could handle it. And that's kind of okay, because in a true late game environment, nobody who's playing in Salt Lake City, you look up and down this box score, and everyone you see on this box score over here that got minutes, if they were to get minutes in the NBA, they would not be the ones closing out tight games with the ball in their hands as defenders are swarming them and trying to get steals and trying to get back in the contest. So like, this is not going to be their role. And so the fact that nobody could handle it very well doesn't really move me too much, because that's just not what they're going to do. I don't really care about that. So the 9 turnovers, a bit inflated, but also something to monitor. And look, we can't have it both ways. We can't sit here every single game of his NBA life so far and say he's got to be more aggressive. He's got to go insert himself. And then whenever he does, and hey, guess what? When you insert yourself and your usage goes up, you're going to have more turnovers. You're going to have more fouls when you do those sort of things. And then whenever he does be more aggressive, then condemn him for that also. So like overall, I thought this was Usman Jang's most impressive activity level and aggression level of his NBA career at any stage. In the G League, in the actual NBA, last year's Summer League, this year's Summer League, I thought this was the best we've seen Usman Jang look in terms of being proactive, being aggressive, and kind of hunting for his opportunities to stick his nose in it. And so that's really encouraging. 2 for 3 from 3, 83% from the floor. A really good game overall from Usman Jang. And so that leaves you with the question of what the Thunder are going to do with Usman Jang, what the plan is for Usman Jang moving forward. And we're going to discuss that coming up. We're also going to discuss Tre Mann and his ability to dominate Summer League again in this game and continue to build on his success, plus the rest of this Summer League roster. But coming up, let's discuss what it looks like for Usman Jang and for the Thunder moving forward together. But first, I want to say right now, but your friends over at BetterHelp, folks. BetterHelp is incredible. BetterHelp is where you want to go if you need to work on yourself, because BetterHelp is important and vital to your success when you're working on yourself. Because in this day and age, it's easy to spread yourself too thin, to kind of look at what everyone else needs from you, but not look at what you need from yourself. And so BetterHelp gives you the ability to work on yourself, and the benefit from therapy is extraordinary. And so you can kind of feel free to go in there, and it works around your schedule. So it is even better access for you and for your lifestyle, because it's easy to dismiss therapy as like, well, I don't have time. I don't know where to go. You can just go to betterhelp.com/LockedOnNBA. And whenever you do that, you get 10% off your first session, your first month. And so at BetterHelp, you take this questionnaire, they match you up with a therapist, and then you just go and experience it and try to better yourself. And if you, for some reason, don't click well with that therapist, you can cycle through a new one with no additional fees or charges or anything like that. It is so convenient. It is so flexible, and it works with your schedule. That's the biggest thing. We all know everyone's busy, and this will work around your schedule. So check it out today at betterhelp.com/LockedOnNBA. We're back on the Locked On Thunder podcast, on the Locked On Podcast Network, your teams every day. Thank you so much for making us your first listen every single morning, every single day, we're here for you, talking Thunder basketball. Folks, for your next listen, check out the Locked On NBA podcast for the national perspective on everything going around the association. Also, we're going to be recapping every game of Summer League and, of course, talking to you every single day. So, on Monday, what we're going to do is reset the expectation level for the Thunder after 4 Summer League games. And after we do that, we're going to take your mailbag questions. Twitter seems to not be broken anymore, so you can follow me on there at Rylan_Stiles and also on threads at Rylan_Stiles and also in the comments on YouTube. That way you can get your question heard on the show on Monday. Saturday, of course, we're going to recap the Mavericks game after the Mavericks game is over. So it's going to be a lot of fun, a lot of jam-packed stuff. Follow along here on Locked On Thunder. So what is the plan for Usman Jang? Look, I think that Usman Jang plays good enough defense, is a good enough transitional offensive player that he can get NBA minutes and will get NBA minutes right away and with the Thunder next season. However, I also believe he will play what I would consider a considerable amount, a good bit of G League minutes next season as well. Because when you strip things away from Usman Jang and you take away J-Dub, J-Will, Chet, you take away all these guys, you routinely see him perform better. And so I think that what you're hoping for OKC and what OKC is hoping for is that you can sort of take things away from him in that regard, make him focus on his game, make him be somebody who, is the focal point and has to insert himself and has to play better offensively and more aggressive in the half-court offense in the G League. And then eventually you ease him back into the NBA, trying to focus on those things, trying to implement those things at the NBA level. We have to remember, Usman Jang is just 20 years old. He turned 20 years old at the end of May. And so this by far was his most encouraging game at the NBA stage at any level, as we discussed before the break. And I still firmly believe that he is on pace. I don't think he's ahead of schedule. I also don't think he's behind schedule, which is where I think a lot of fans are, is that, oh, he's behind schedule, he's not playing good. I think he's tracking exactly how the Thunder imagined that they would track. We have to remember the Thunder front office, if you want to give them the respect that a lot of you give them, the Thunder front office has scouted Usman Jang since he was 16 years old. They traded up to go get him. And I think that put more pressure on him because I think that people freak out about the sticker shock of like 3 first-round picks. Those were the worst picks of the pile for Oklahoma City. In fact, the majority of those picks are going to end up being fake first, where they just never convey. So stop putting the 3 first-round picks pressure on Usman Jang. Because even if they didn't make this trade and they held on to those picks, you'd likely never see them anyway. So they went and got a guy who they really believe in and who has done nothing wrong to this point, who has done no regression to this point, who has not played below expectations at this point. Like, he has just continued to play the way we thought he would. So just because J-Dub was able to make a huge impact right away, just because, Josh Giddey made a huge impact as a rookie, just because these guys ascended, it doesn't mean anything is wrong with Usman Jang or that Usman Jang is behind the 8 ball, because we all agreed at the time of his draft, he was going to take time. He was going to be a project player, and that's what he's been so far. And throughout this process, he's shown you defensive upside. He's shown you flashes of what he can be defensively, what he can be as a cutter, what he can be in transition, what he can be around the rim. And so I think that everything to this point is encouraging, and he's working with Chip England this offseason. He's doing just all the right things so far. And so you have to give a guy that this front office circled since he was 16 years old, you have to give him more than a rookie season that, by the way, was disrupted twice by injuries. So let's just relax a bit on Usman Jang. I think that, again, we're trying to kind of put too much emphasis on the fact that they won 40 games last year and accelerate too much, right? Sam Presti has continued to tell you that this is not the finished product. This is not like, the finished version of the Thunder, that they're going to continue to develop, continue to grow, and they're not out of time yet. Nobody's running out of time. Not Usman Jang, not Josh Giddey, not Shea. Like, nobody's running out of time. This is still despite the success last year that was a bit unpredictable, this is still the infancy stages of what the Thunder are cultivating and building and growing and maturing and everything else. And so I think that Usman gets a little bit of a bad rep, so to say, from the fan base because everything around him is clicking at such a high clip that you're like, well, why isn't this guy clicking? When in reality, he's doing fine. Like he is playing the way we thought he'd play. Tre Mann continues to show what he can do out there. I think what's been the most impressive part about Tre Mann's Summer League is how under control it all is. You watch Tre Mann, and if you go back and just watch the cut-ups and the highlights of Tre Mann, besides, he had the poster dunk. The poster dunk was awesome. Besides the poster dunk, like there have not been these like blown away, incredible, fancy highlights that you just look at and go, how'd that shot fall? And what I mean by that is like everything he's done to this point is repeatable. It's taking what the defense is giving him. It's getting it in rhythm and flow of an offense. It's not these heat check, wild half-court shots like, yeah, you might have made that one because you're just feeling it tonight, but like 9 times out of 10, you're not going to make that shot. Like it has not been that kind of stuff for Tre Mann. This has kind of been the most in control of the game that he's looked and that he's felt, kind of settled into. And so that's encouraging because it feels repeatable. It feels real this time because I want to continue to remind you, in case you didn't listen to the last few podcasts, it's not as though Tre Mann lights it up in Summer League. Like, in fact, last year in Salt Lake City, he was terrible. Like, he shot 26%. Like, he was not good in Summer League. And so, this is still improvement from him, even though it's in a weird environment in Summer League as a third-year player. I thought you even saw adjustments game to game in Summer League. I thought his passing got better every single game and led up to a crescendo tonight where he was a lot better at passing and finding cutters than he previously was. And then some of the misses tonight were some heat check stuff. Like he had a step back where he created so much space, and if it would have fell, it would have been just this brilliant highlight. But the step back was a good attempt, a good look, but it did not drop. He missed a catch and shoot at the shot clock, which is just how it goes sometimes. And then he did miss one where he was like 2 steps behind the 3-point line. Didn't necessarily need to shoot that shot and missed it. But overall, another point of emphasis for him. And I try not to lean on this too much because it's hard to know if it's true or not. But like just watching him, he looked a lot stronger and more in control of his body when going up at the rim. Like the N1 finish was awesome. The slithery finish whenever the Thunder desperately needed a bucket to stop the run was awesome. Like he just looked more in control of his body and taking on contact, and also just stronger to finish through contact and finish around defenders, which is really good stuff. So he ends this game with 23 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, a steal, 4 turnovers, and 4 for 10 from 3, shooting 46% from the floor. Consider that there was no other true scoring threat next to him, that there was no one else around him to alleviate some of that pressure as like a go-to scorer. This was an awesome game from Tre Mann. And we're watching right now as it wraps up the Grizzlies and Jazz finish out this tournament. I'd be stunned if Tre Mann isn't the MVP of the Salt Lake City portion of Summer League. I will say, typically speaking, and again, this is just a guess, but typically speaking, the returners do not play in Vegas. Does that mean Trey will be out Saturday or not? Who knows? But I'm just giving you what typically happens. He also, at the end of this game, was kind of laboring, or like kind of rubbing his hand a little bit, kind of like the crease of his thumb a little bit. I'm not sure if that was anything of note, but when you mix together, hey, he's kind of favoring his hand a little bit, and they're about to head to Vegas where typically returners don't play. Keep that in mind as you move forward. I hope that they keep playing because this is a lot of fun to watch them, but keep that in mind as you move forward with all of this. Now, Chet Holmgren not playing today might signal, hey, he's going to get a game in with Cason Wallace in Dallas. That'd be a lot of fun if that does happen. We'll see how that goes. But the trade with Dallas is now made official. So Cason couldn't play this afternoon or this evening because the Thunder didn't update their roster. Like couldn't update their roster. They've already set their roster for Salt Lake City, I guess, which we already knew that. So they're going to update the roster probably Friday afternoon, if I had to guess, or at least Saturday morning, and add Cason Wallace to it. And we'll see kind of him debut Friday, I would imagine. And like I said, Holly Rowe also described Keyontae Johnson as returning soon to the Thunder. Coming up, the Thunder got another undrafted gem. Plus, Jared Butler is checking some boxes and a lot more. We're back on the Locked On Thunder podcast, on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you so much for making us your first listen every single morning, every single day. We're here for you, talking Thunder basketball. Folks, what a game this was. Caleb McConnell has the juice. In his first 7 minutes of Summer League action, 6 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, and a block. He is a defensive ace out of Rutgers, undrafted player this year. Had a workout with OKC in the pre-draft process. He has great rim finishing ability. And in this game, you saw his rim finishing portfolio where he finished strong at the rim. He also pulled up in transition for a nice nifty floater in the paint with a soft touch, which was awesome. He just simply does it all defensively. He can clean it up. If there's a breakdown somewhere else, he can pick your pocket and start the break. He's a fun player. In my opinion, McConnell should be on a 2-way deal anywhere in the NBA, but I would like it to be in Oklahoma City, obviously. He can just decide to take your lunch money whenever he wants to defensively. And he's an older college player, so he looks more calm out there, more in control out there than a lot of rookies do. He had a play in this one where he pokes the ball free, goes down the court, gets the loose change, is trapped, and then makes the right play, is patient, gets it to KJ Williams at the top of the key. KJ then swings it out to Jaden Shackleford for a wide open 3, and Shackleford missed, which is not usual of Jaden Shackleford. He's going to knock down more of those shots than not. But it could have been a hockey assist for Caleb McConnell, whereas I think that most rookies especially would press or panic whenever that situation happened. But McConnell was in control of that situation for OKC and waited for the cavalry to come help him out in transition. He even had a 3-pointer blocked against him, which he didn't give up on the play. He kind of shot a 3-pointer, had it blocked. Jared Butler got a steal, hit it ahead to him, and was able to finish the job there. That floater in the paint with the soft touch, as I mentioned, was a lot of fun. He ends the night with 8 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals, a block, only 1 turnover, and 1 foul. So the 1 foul, while being uber aggressive defensively, just shows how good of a defender that Caleb McConnell is. Speaking of Jared Butler, by the way, he continues to check the boxes. I said it yesterday. I don't know if there's a better player that you can find on a 2-way deal who can help your program more than Jared Butler. Because Jared Butler, look, if you get to the point where you're relying on 2-way guys that aren't named Keyontae Johnson this season, you've got some issues in terms of injury and stuff like that. So when you're looking at the 2-way guys, you're mainly looking at who can you put with your organization, develop them with the blue, that also help whoever you're going to send down to the blue from the main roster. And Jared Butler can do just that. He was cashing in catch and shoot looks. He was scoring at the rim around defenders. The hustle, the improved defense from even a few months ago was awesome to watch. And I like the way that he uses his body and uses his size. The way that he puts his body on guys to either contest shots or to even hold them off the glass for someone else to come clean up really helps OKC. And throughout his time in the NBA, he's been a pick and roll beast, both in the NBA and also in the G League. And you saw one play specifically where he is navigating the pick and roll and then just throws this overhead whip pass to Zaire Smith in the corner for 3. That's the special playmaking stuff that he can put your guys in position to succeed, especially in the G League, whenever you're sending quality players down there who you really care about their development. He had that steal in transition off of a block 3, which was impressive to kind of limit the damage because the Sixers had all the numbers, obviously, of a perimeter block shot. He finishes with 9 points, 3 steals, 5 assists, 2 rebounds, 1 for 3 from 3 in 23 minutes. Zaire Smith had a revenge game, former Sixer, just a really good athlete, and bullied some people inside tonight. 16 points, 2 for 2 from 3. I like the catch and shoot look from him. Loved his baskets inside. 6 for 6 overall for Zaire Smith. Nice game. And I'm sure it felt good to do it against the Sixers, but I think Zaire Smith, the best case scenario for him would be catching on a 2-way deal elsewhere, or maybe even playing for the Blue if they can get his rights for the G League. I had another question about Jaden Shackleford asked, because I'm hyping up Jared Butler, hyping up Caleb McConnell. Why no hype for Jaden Shackleford with that 2-way spot? Jaden Shackleford today went 2 for 7 from three, shot 25% from the floor, 4 rebounds, an assist, a steal, 11 points. And he shot the ball well so far in Summer League. He shot the ball well in the G League also. To me, Jaden Shackleford, is just a really good G League player. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, being a really good G League player is important and is an awesome role, and it's hard to do. But yes, the shooting is good. And he is what I would consider a really good shooter from beyond the arc. But he struggles at every other thing. He struggles defensively. He struggles playmaking wise. He doesn't fill it up on the rebounding category either. I think he's just a nice shooter in the G League to help your offense get in groove, but like, he can't really impact the game at an NBA level. And he's been in the system for a while. He's a really hard worker, really good guy, like, et cetera, et cetera. But at the end of the day, he only has one skill that you could see pan out. And even if it does pan out at the NBA level, I think that you can't keep him on the floor in the NBA defensively. So he's got to show he can do that even in Summer League, heading into Vegas, and he'll get more time as the Vegas season progresses and you shut down some of these guys. He'll get more opportunity because you're not going to shut down Jaden Shackleford. He'll have time to prove he can defend and prove he can do other things. But to this point in his career, both in the G League, Summer League, and whatever other opportunities he's gotten, he's not shown to be a good enough defender to warrant an NBA opportunity or even a two-way opportunity yet. But he does have that skill of shooting, which is desperately needed in all NBA environments, all NBA organizations. So the Thunder did win this game. They played the entire first half in control. The Sixers had a 2-0 lead and never led again. In fact, at one point, OKC jumped out to a 31-point lead. And then the Sixers came storming back. It was down to 16 midway through the fourth. Then it got all the way down to 5. And as we mentioned before, the ball handlers just could not handle the pressure on the blitz from Philadelphia. They just could not handle it. They kept turning the ball over, and that's like the only reason why Philadelphia was able to make this comeback. OKC won the rebounds by 2. OKC, again, had way too many turnovers, 22. Philadelphia had 24, though. OKC won points in the paint, 52-44. OKC won second chance points, 44-13. OKC won fast break points, 18-2. OKC shot 51, 35, 76. Philadelphia shot 43, 28, 77. The Thunder had 4 in double figures. Philly had 5 in double figures. The MVP of this game, Usman Jang. The MVP of the tournament, which should be announced here soon, I think has to be Tre Mann, without question there. Dallas on Saturday afternoon. We'll recap it after the contest is over. On Monday, what are your expectations for this Thunder team? Let's reset them after the transactions and Summer League portion. Also, your mailbag questions. So drop them below on YouTube. Drop them below on Threads. Drop them below on Twitter at Rylan_Stiles. And folks, this is going to be fun to continue talking about the Thunder every single morning, every single day. We're here for you talking Thunder basketball. So subscribe anywhere you get your podcast from, including on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, anywhere you go to get podcasts. You can get this podcast here for free every single day. What a time it is to be a Thunder fan. Hopefully making it a lot more fun for you to be a Thunder fan by following along with this content. I appreciate all of you that do that. It means a lot to me and helps me out, obviously. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, whatever you can do. And also follow me on Twitter again at Rylan_Stiles. So until tomorrow, be good and be good to one another.